It's the end of the month and it's time for us to make our lists. I'm here to tell you my top 5 albums for the month of March. You can tell me yours. Use the comment section below and hit me up. Let me know exactly what albums will be on your podium. Now, I'm going to go through my list on a chronological order basis to make things easier. And once again, if I didn't review the album on the channel, it didn't make the list. So let's start off with Midnight, Let There Be Witchery, out March 4th on Metal Blade Records. This is the band's 5th studio album. They're a black speed metal band, and they've never released an album that I didn't like. I just love their sound, I love their speed, and I love their darkness. Now, this record stands out because it felt a little bit more dynamic, it felt a little bit more diverse, more polished, better constructed, having more of a sense of flow, having more of a sense of bringing all the songs with their own uniqueness to the table, but allowing that to impact positively into the collective. So it's a much stronger album all around, and in my humble opinion, the best album from the band so far. Next, we have Sylvaine with Nova, out March 4th on Season of Mist. This is the band's 4th studio album. They are an atmospheric post-metal band, and this record was my introduction to Sylvaine, and I absolutely fell in love with this project. It's just an incredible sound, incredible atmosphere, incredible experience, a very emotionally driven record. You can feel it. You can feel it in the sound, you can feel it in the vocals, you can feel it in the atmosphere, in the lyrical content. Everything about this album really brings to life the pain, the suffering that inspired it, the pain and suffering that went into making it. It's a record that's very easy to connect with, but very hard to let go. You really feel connected with the album, and you feel compelled to come back to it time and time again. While this is my first time listening to one of the band's records, it won't be my last. I absolutely fell in love with this album, fell in love with this band, and I'm looking forward to see what the future holds for Sylvaine. Next, we have Dark Funeral with We Are the Apocalypse, out March 18th on Century Media. This is the band's 7th studio album. They're a black metal band, and this record really hit home for me. I really enjoy the soundscape. I really enjoy the vocal content, the lyrics, and how everything came together. But if you have to look at something that stands out from previous records, I think you really have to look at the vocal performance. It felt more dynamic, it felt more versatile, more diverse, and not necessarily one-dimensional from start to finish. has a big impact on how you're going to perceive the album. It has a big impact on how this album is going to stand the test of time going forward. It just feels a very complete record all around. I enjoy how the sound merges from track to track, on how this album really moves the listener across each and every single song. But I have to come back to the vocal performance. That's really the element that stands out to me along this record in terms of everything that it puts forward. Next, we have Kvaen, The Great Below, out March 25th on Black Lion Records. This is the band's second studio album. They're a black death metal band, and this record is phenomenal. Really outstanding album. Considering everything that's going into it, this is a project that has one mastermind behind it. But he brought in other minds, other great minds in the world of metal, either as guest vocalists or guest musicians, in order to add a little bit more flavor to how this album is put together. But this is a super strong album from start to finish. While it has a lot of individualities in it, and those individualities bring their own flavor, their own DNA, their own style, their own approach, which makes the record at times feel a little bit more volatile, a little bit more dynamic, he was able to really ground this record and still allow the album to feel as one and not just a collection of great tracks. I love the soundscape, I love the movement. The experience that it is listening to this album is something that really needs to be said. And I feel like this band can only move forward, and it can only get better with time, with more records under their belt. Last but not least, we have Abbath with Dread Reaver, out March 25th on Season of Mist. This is his third studio album. They are a black metal band, and this has to be his best solo record to date. It has a little bit of the two previous albums in it, so it's almost like you take the best elements out of those two records and then you combine them into one album. Almost a little bit of a greatest hits, if you will, in terms of how it's constructed and in terms of what it offers, but just being put together with brand new songs. So that flavor, that approach really has a positive impact on how I perceive this record. And I felt more connected with this album than with the previous two. It had a little bit more versatility to it, and that versatility had a positive impact in the overall playability of the record. This album has great songs, heavy, melodic, dark, mixing that rock and roll black metal approach that Abbath does so well. And on this record, I really feel like he took it to a whole new level. The drums, I always have to go back to the drums. Witchery is a phenomenal drummer, and he really enhances the quality of the band's sound. He gives it enough power without overpowering what the band is trying to achieve. Great record by Abbath. This is it. This is my top 5 albums for the month of March. Let me know your thoughts on my picks, and let me know your picks. Use the comment section below. I'll be checking those out and getting back to you. Take care, guys.